Hello everybody, welcome back to another video on the channel, and in today's video we'll be talking about the recent news in the KI Live. Now, most importantly, there is going to be a upcoming patch, which is apparently going to be sooner than soon. As Rapbeard said here in the screenshot, I will put it up on screen if I'm able to find it. But yeah, so there's going to be three main things in this patch. One, they're going to be banning Path A scales. Two, they're going to be banning Storm Elf. And three, they're going to be banning Path A golems. So I will give you a little TLDR for this. Essentially, balance players are going to swap to bottom path scales, which is still incredibly good. It's not really going to change their spot in the meta. They might be a little weaker against like Fire or Storm, but that's about it. It's still going to be the best school in the game, even with bottom path scales. So it's kind of like a nothing burger. This should have happened a year ago. Number two, with Storm Elf being banned, Storm is going to fall off from being like number two, number three in the current meta to, the pits of ice down there. So like, number seven, number six on the list. So Ice, Life, and Storm are all going to kind of be in their tier of just garbage. And I will be breaking this down later on in the video, but I'm just trying to get the news out of the way first. And lastly, we have the Path A golems being banned. So, the most popular one would be like, I don't know, what is it called? Glacial golem or like, thermic golem, that kind of stuff. They just don't really suit school identity, their legacy. So, cool change there. Now, one more thing about this, some players were curious about the balanced golems because both of those, Path A and Path B, are actually, hitting shields. So basically, Cam apparently is the one working on that, but he's on vacation, so we don't really know. As for Poison and Frostbite, because the developers put Storm Elf, Poison and Frostbite all in the same category, they did not mention them for some reason in the KI Live. I can only imagine that's like a mistake, because I'm not kidding, literally 13 months ago, I think we're about now, they banned the TCs for Poison and Frostbite because, well, they were broken. And the main deck is just the exact same thing. They're out of identity, they don't make any sense. So my point is, since they're all in the same category, you would think that all three of those cards go in this patch when Storm Elf is going, right? This makes sense, but they did not confirm that, which is kind of odd. Anyways, that's about it for the news and such. We also don't have a release date for console at the moment. I know a lot of people are asking about that in the KI Live. I guess like asked every 10 minutes in there, I'd say. But yes, so we got the news out of the way. Now I want to talk about, how this stuff is going to affect the meta, right? So number one, balance is still going to be S tier. It's still going to be the best school, right? It just got a slap on the wrist, like the gear had changed. So balance is still going to be the best school. They'll just swap to bottom path skills, and they'll struggle a tad bit more against like, maybe a Storm or Fire this update, but that's about it. I guess to be fair to the balanced players, though, I don't think any Storms are going to be queuing after this patch goes through. So, I mean, they'll struggle more against Fire, I guess. So, wow, big nerf there to balance, right? Secondly, Ice is indirectly getting buffed this update because they do not have to deal with Glacial Golem, which was a pretty big issue before, like, in Live Realm right now. So that's a nice buff to Ice, and maybe that'll help with Ice Storm being actually competitive. Now they'll only have to worry about the, 0 pip glacial shields or whatever, which is still, by the way, legacy and kind of annoying to deal with. But point is, it's still an indirect buff to Ice, which is cool. And Storm will be falling out of its place in the A tier and going down to like the D tier with, Ice and Life right now. So in today's video, I want to focus more on the Storm changes because that is the, biggest change of them all, right? Again, Balance got a slap on the wrist. It's still number one, nothing too crazy. Ice got a very minor buff, nothing too crazy. But the Storm one, as I've said for a year, they can't just really get rid of Storm Elf and, not compensate or fix the game, or else there's not going to be a school left over. And unfortunately, that seems to be the road that KI is going, and we're going to talk about it in this video. So I'm going to touch on the KI Live, specifically on the segment where they address the Storm dual school problem, because, it's going to be quite, big of a deal, like I said. So basically, in case you don't know or you're not up to date on things or you don't understand what I'm trying to say, basically the 6 other schools aside from storming the game can hit optimally with 2 schools, the school they're on, and pretty much any off school they choose. Whether you like that or not, this is the direction the devs have been going with the game. And you'll either have to be cosplaying you're off school in a bad matchup to win or just lose. So for example, what my death did to get Warlord is basically half of my games I'm cosplaying as a fire to circumvent the counter matchups. But when you try to use that logic on a school like Storm, it doesn't work. If you try to dual school like you do on my death, you actually just end up losing like 40% harder than you already were, which is absolutely terrible. So that's the whole context of the situation. Now, from watching the live stream, you can tell the devs are still not sure what to do to fix the dual school problem. They obviously know it's there because, the player feedback and the math obviously really highlights how big of a problem this is, right? And this is kind of a big deal, right? Because what this patch is going through, Storm is going to be in a really bad state where you're just not going to be able to queue the school. And no offense to the devs or KI, but with how long they take to fix stuff, again, it's been literally 13 months since they missed the window to ban Frostbite and Poison. It's not looking good, So what I'm predicting to happen here is Storm was playable for 9 months, right? And then we're gonna go back to being unplayable for like 6 months to a year, which anyone who plays any school, if that happened to you, I feel like you'd be pretty bummed out. Anyways, let's talk about the two sides to the debate. So on one hand, you have the math and the numbers side, which is what I and many other people in the community have been advocating for, simply because, it's just objectively right and fair with the way the devs are building the game. It aligns with that. On the other side of the table, from what I've gathered at least, there are two arguments. One, there's the right argument. Players feel like if they make this change, basically in advanced content and all, you're just going to play a Storm and cosplay any school, right? And the issue with that, obviously, is it takes away from, diversity and all, but there is a way that KSL could actually fix this, right? If they made it so fights actually relied more on tankiness rather than just, killing fast, they could, build a fight that way and address that issue by like designing fights around that. But my point is, Raiders are very, very concerned about this update, just to say the least. And from what I've gathered, at least, the other part of it is lower ranked people complain a lot about this stuff, and the truth is they just do not know how to optimally play. Right? The only ones who should have been complaining in the first place was probably Fire versus Storm, right? Because Fire gets absolutely shafted by Storm right now. For example, on my death, I could have complained about how bad death is against dots, but instead I decided to just, embrace the full fire cosplay, and I literally went from recruit to warlord in a season. I lost like 3 games or something once I started cosplaying. Very easy. Players are just afraid of Storm because they already do not know how to beat it, and they refuse to learn how to beat it right now. So seeing the fact that, it's going to get buffed as in it's going to be equal to the 6 other schools in the game, that really scares them because they're already not good at beating it when it's beatable. Again, aside from Fire, Fire can't beat Storm right now. And I hate to use rank here in this video. I know it's kind of a dumb argument at the end of the day, but I'm telling you, there's a correlation between the people who were complaining about this Storm Elf and lower ranks. If you guys literally look into that, you'll see I'm not crazy. Because even the people who are high ranks and don't even play Storm, they can see why Storm needs Elf right now in the current state of the game. So what should have happened in this patch is they should have got rid of Elf and then obviously fix Storm's dual school. But since they do not seem to have an idea on what they want to do on the KI Live, it seems like they're just going to get rid of the elf and not fix the dual school, therefore it's going to be unplayable. So the only thing left to talk about in the video would be how the devs choose to implement the changes, right? It seems like every dev is on board, except for Rapier, of course, but it's more so how do they put it into the game? So to my understanding, there's 2 options. They could either, for example, make Storm have 300 off-school fire damage, which would be like, sticker shock. I think it's what they called it on KI Live, but it would be balanced, but it would look crazy. Or the other option is like when you go into an advanced combat arena, when I'm on my Storm, my fire cards would look different. So example, let's take a Path Be a Elephant, right? It does like what, 500 damage. If I'm on my Storm in advanced combat, that would probably be around like, I don't know, like 700, 800 damage. But my stat caps would stay the same. The only thing that would change is the actual, DPP of the spells when you're in an advanced combat arena. Now, the issue with this change is it seems like a lot more work, and even if they do it, you're still not solving the problem of Storms not being able to hit their caps, right? So right now, Storm has 129 damage and 51 fire pierce in the current meta. So even if you make that change, yeah, it'd be a nice buff, but you're still not hitting your caps like other schools are. So it'd be a buff, but you still wouldn't be technically equally as competitive as the 6 other schools, numerically speaking. Anyways, that's pretty much it for the video, y'all. I know it's a longer one, but once this patch goes through, all you'll have to do, assuming there are still Storms playing the game after the patch, is shield a lot, and you'll beat every Storm, maybe except for Fire, because that matchup is really bad. But 6 other schools just shield every turn against Storm, no matter what. You don't have to do anything with the shields, just shield and you'll win. Pack enough and you'll win. If you are a Storm player, I recommend you enjoy what you can now. I know my friend Soulsword, who hasn't played the game in probably like a year or two on his Storm. He's been getting a couple of matches in before he knows the school is going to go back to the bottom of the Marianas Trench. I'm telling you guys right now, take my word for this. Right? I've been wrong, I think, once in 3 years about Storm. Okay, that's my credibility here. Do not play this school after this patch goes through. I will not be doing it. I do not recommend that you guys do it. You're just going to give yourself a headache. You're not going to learn anything. So there is nothing to learn because every matchup is an uphill battle until they actually fix the dual school, numerically speaking. And then obviously you have a bunch of cons that no other school has to deal with on a Storm, right? So it's just a headache, not worth it for anybody. So I thought I would say that now. I'm really hoping they don't take 6 months to a year, again, considering people are paying member to fix these problems. And until then, I will probably just be playing other schools. I know Fire and Death is like my favorite 2 to play right now at Soda Storm. I've been having no problems queuing those schools. So yeah. Anyways, I will see you guys later. Hope you enjoyed the video. Take care. Goodbye.